Last time on Sharp Games All, we talked about the Babyface's Blaster, and we talked about Scout's three main core abilities: damage, mobility, and speed. Today we're going to be focusing on the mobility and his ability to double jump with the weapon, the Soda Popper. Now, the Soda Popper shares a lot of similarities with its cousin, Babyface's Blaster, which honestly, the main part of it is the less ammo and the meters, how they're both meter weapons. We're gonna go into the stats of this weapon real quick. Alright. To start off, just like its brother, the Force of Nature, it is 2 shots in the mag. Granted, it has a faster reload, but both will be reloaded at the same time. It is both a upside and a downside, because if you have an extra bullet, you will reload it. So if you have 32, you'll be put down to 30. If you only shot 1, both shots will get reloaded. It's alright. It also has a faster fire rate than stock, meaning you can fire faster than 2 shots in your thing. But what it does have is, instead of knockback, every shot, any type of damage you deal gives you your height meter, similar to the Babyface's Blaster, but instead of getting speed on a hit, you get the meter that goes up. When the meter goes up, you get the chance of getting 5 jumps in a row, which is what the height meter does. Now, 5 jumps in a row is very nice because, you know, it's very hard to track someone who is floaty and jumping around. Granted, very similarly to the Force of Nature, though, you still only have 2 shots, meaning you better get that burst damage in. The height meter is filled up by 350 damage, though, so it's gonna be at least 3 kills. That's 350. That's more than a heavy's base health. You're gonna have to kill a heavy and like a Deadbringer spy for that much, you know, damage. Which, in sense, is fine because, you know, you're supposed to be up doing damage anyways. But the problem is, this weapon is not exactly the easiest to get going. Okay, with Babyface's Blaster, 100 damage put it at max speed, meaning you're already at your like highest peak and you can keep going off this. Whereas you're still base scout, meaning you're fast, but your snowballing is not as easy as other weapons. Granted, that double jump still will put you above the rest of the people, especially people who don't look up, because let's be real here, if you're a Team Fortress 2 player, you don't look up. Alright, now I'm going to go to weapon combos. Now to start off, most of these weapons I'm going to not go over because most of them share very similar things to the Babyface's Blaster, where a lot of this you're playing for boost, but unlike speed, it's jump. So, with that in mind, Pretty Wood's Pocket Pistol is still one of the best pistols, but unlike Babyface's Blaster, the Winger is really good, because you are not penalized for it, meaning you can pull out more, and you can double jump with higher heights. So, yeah. I'm not actually sure. I've tested it multiple times. I just can't tell if, when you have hype on, if the boost will give you, you know, double jumps with the Winger bonus. I think it does, but I cannot confirm it because I was trying it. It was very weird to play with. So take that as you will. Cleaver is still really good, no burst damage for boost, but granted, your scattergun does like 100 per shot up close now. So you have that. Secondaries, the critical is, you know, it's funny because on the weapon, but the critical actually works well because it helps you negate your damage fall off with this weapon. But it's still a scatter, so you won't always hit full damage. Bonk actually really doesn't serve as much of a purpose. The problem with Bonk in this is, unlike Babyface, there's nothing to save with Bonk unless you just don't want to die yourself, but even then, you're kind of just putting yourself in danger for no reason, unless you want to get up close to someone that they don't notice, but even then. And then first, melees. Honestly, a lot of the melees are just kind of mid. Granted, you know, it's going to be the same thing. Candy Cane's good, especially now because since you're double jumping, splash damage will be harder to hit you because you can be up in the air more. Boston Basher will give you bleed damage. Hit someone, I forgot to mention that, but it's alright. The only problem is if you miss, you still take your own damage. But that's actually a lot better. The Atomizer, if you want to go full on in the jump, and the Bonk Boy build, if you really want to do that. Sandman, please don't use. I don't know how to say this, but the Sandman still sucks. Sun on the Stick. Okay, no, I didn't talk about it, but it still don't use the Sun on the Stick. It sucks. The same thing as the Sandman. Kind of sucks. Then, last but not least, I think it's all. Oh, Fan of War. Yeah, just don't use Fan of War. It's, yeah, no, it's Fan of War sucks. But personally, my favorite combos to run with this, the Pocket Pistol and the Rapid Assassin. I just like getting the health regen and keeping it up. Granted, the cleaver would be nice, but I'm not good at aiming with the cleaver, so I'm very biased towards it. Also, I don't have an atomizer. But the Winger's also really fun with it, so use those if you're going to use it. Alright, now we're going to go over a little bit extras and how to use this weapon. Now, in concept, this weapon actually shares a very similar role to the Babyface's blaster, where it is a snowball weapon and a hit-and-run gun. You know, you hit it, and then instead of using your speed to get away, you're using more of your double jumps to get away with things like your hype, so you can get in and out faster. It's practically similar to that, but instead of just being flat and moving, you know, faster and slower, you're now moving up more and down more, and on the y-axis instead of the x-axis, practically. Some of the things you should probably know about this gun are since you can deal damage with any weapon, it is actually very fun to, you know, run it with the melee, especially if you're, you know, in a melee duel and you want to, you know, get the funny like jump, you want to fly above them, you can pull out the Winger and then swap to a melee. But just so you know, you have to pull out the Soda Popper to proc it. You cannot proc it on your secondary or your melee because Mouse 2 does not have a thing, and it literally has to be. It also cannot be while you're reloading with the Soda Popper. It literally has to be while you're either mid-firing or you're just standing there. That's a lot of just like stupid rules, but it's source spaghetti, so who really cares about it? This shares a lot in common with, you know, the Force of Nature too, because, you know, the Force of Nature is, you know, practically the same gun without the critical strapped in the bottom, but the critical, actually the critical helps us a lot more than the Force of Nature, but the Force of Nature in itself gives the movement then and there compared to this, which you have to build up for it to get a better burst of movement, because, you know, the Force of Nature. Also, the Force of Nature, like, as much as it wants to be a hit and run gun, it knocks people back, and while that's fun because it can sometimes do way more damage than it should, it is just not as good as this. Granted, I'm just not a fan of the tuber of either this or the Force of Nature. I prefer Babyface and the thing, but that's just personally me. But both movement abilities are really fun to use, so I wouldn't undersell them by any means. That's about it for most of these videos. Make sure you watch last week's so you can actually, so I'm not just like spitting like random facts. And next week's is be the Quickie Bomb launcher, so I'm not going to change in that because I made the poll. If you made it to the end, comment something. No, comment your favorite ice cream food. Let's hear about that. That should actually be everything for the video. Watch Chachario's video. He has a really cool one on the pain train. Make sure you watch that, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the Quickie Bomb, or if you watched my Thursday video. Alright, peace.
Let's do this Texas style.